live on YouTube. Boop-a-doop, boop.
Okay, finally.
Here we go. Live on YouTube with me, Jennifer, Little Metal Foxes, and I've got Helen
Woo! Hello!
from live from Sydney and
Julia, also from Little Metal Foxes, with our lovely guest, Milt Fischbein.
Hi, Milt. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thanks.
Fantastic. Let's see. Let's get everything up and going here. Make sure we are live on YouTube. There we are. Okay.
That's it. We're all good.
Good. Okay. So, welcome to Tooltips, Milt. Great to see you here in you're here in Seattle with Julia in her
Yep.
studio. So, tell us where you came from, what you're doing here. Give us a little shout out where we can take classes with you because you are known primarily for your filigree classes, correct?
That's right.
Wearing a lovely little
Wearing a
piece.
pin. I always wear this when I
Tiny.
teach or speak.
Oh,
Yeah, well, I could have brought something big, but I wasn't thinking.
Well, it's fine. I mean, you weren't coming to Seattle for the purpose of doing this.
No,
so-
that's right. I'm here from Calgary, Canada, and I'm visiting family. I have two young grandchildren. Of course, I have a daughter and a son-in-law too, because
Oh, yeah.
They're much less
that's where
important
they're
than the
not
grandchildren.
important at all. Exactly.
Not anymore. Who needs that?
Janitors, and then just get out of the way and let the
That's
grandparents have
exactly
at
it. And the youngest, Ellis, is turning 1, so I couldn't miss his first birthday. So that's why I'm here. And then just took that opportunity
Aw.
to meet Julia. I took a class from her and we got to chatting and I said, "Ooh, I'm coming to town soon." And that's how we ended up here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you here, and maybe down the road we can get you in for a couple of classes as well.
We can talk about that. Yeah, that would be nice.
putting him on the spot.
Yeah.
I am.
No, you're not putting me on the spot at all. No, we can chat about it. Sure.
One of the things that you have done that is a big benefit to the community at large is a little bit of research on those pesky tanks that we use for dual system things like the Smith Little torch, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your experiment.
My background, besides doing jewelry, is that I'm a chemical engineer, retired now. So it gives me lots more time to think about things that I never really thought about before. And I got into some conversations with some folks online quite a few years ago about how many disposable tanks of oxygen it takes to burn one tank of propane in your dual fuel torch, like a Smith Little torch.
Mhm.
And people kept telling me, "Oh, it's a lot, but it's 5 or 6." And when you do the
We
actual,
thought it was like 9.
there you go.
Right.
And that's what,
And I was higher than a lot of these people.
exactly.
I thought it was 3 to 5. So
And that's the exact kind of conversation I would have. And when you do the actual calculation, it works out to 40. And now that's under certain ideal perfect conditions, but that's what it worked out to. And of course, nobody believed me when I said,
that's
"Hey, it's a big number." Nobody believed me. And I said,
Right.
"All right, that's fine." And one day I thought, "Well, let's do a little experiment just for fun." So I got out my Smith Little torch and I bought a bunch of these guys. And
You committed. You really committed
oh, I
to this.
committed. Yeah, I was going to do it right.
Mhm.
And if you watch the YouTube video, because I won't go through all the minutia of exactly how I did it, but I weighed these guys on scales, so I knew how much
my-
gas I had in each one when I started and how much I had when I finished. And that allowed me to do real world calculations on how many of these I was burning in order to burn one of these. And I actually did it the other way. I took a can of oxygen and a can of propane, and I ran each test until the oxygen can was empty. Okay, so I ran it based on the reverse of what I'm saying, but I mean, the calculations are still
yeah, that
Right.
would
So that he didn't
appropriate.
have to buy
yeah.
40 cans.
40 cans of oxygen.
Right.
And the bottom line was that in the tests that I did, and I feel that they were very good, very valid tests, well documented, with just simple tools. Really, the key instrument was a scale. Okay, it was just a scale for measuring these things at start and end of each test. And what I found was that when I was running an oxidizing flame, so with generous flow of oxygen.
Nice hot hissy flame.
Yes, a hot hissy flame. That's exactly it on the little torch. Um, the calculations tell me, at the test with the follow-up numbers tell me you would take 30 of these to burn one full tank of propane.
Wow.
And when I was running more reducing type flames, so more kind of gentle yellow flame, the number was almost cut in half. I think it worked out to 17. But let's just say 30 and 15 was the range, just, it was round numbers. Now, if you look at, first of all, even if these things were free, what a pain it would be to constantly change this while you were trying to do your work. But if you want to convert it into dollars and cents today, I looked it up. I think I looked at Home Depot, or it might have been Ace Hardware, actually, is where I looked it up. But I looked it up online just yesterday. These are about $6 and these are about $15. So imagine you spend $6 on propane, and if you were running good hot flames, hissy flames, and burning 30 of these, that's $450 of oxygen
Yeah.
Wow.
just to burn one tank of propane.
Right.
No.
So,
What would you suggest as options for this? Because obviously you've got, I mean, how much recycling? I mean, you can recycle the empty container.
Yeah, though they actually
Oh, what-
they keep going through various different things. You can actually, I believe you can throw the empty ones in the garbage.
Yeah.
Um,
So what a mess is that? So
Yeah.
what do you suggest as options, Milt?
well, I'll tell you what I do. And I just heard you're going to teach a class on it. I use the Orca torch primarily in my studio. So because I do filigree and I like colder flames, I don't need dual fuel. And I put away my Smith torch and moved to the Orca torch for filigree in particular. But I can use it for almost everything and it works fine. So one option is to go to a single fuel torch. Then
Right.
you don't need any of this. The
So-
other option is to get a welding style tank. And that's what I used to have. I think it was a B tank of oxygen. And that thing, it cost me under $100 to fill it. I don't recall. It's been a long, long time since I had it.
Part of the reason it's been a long, long time is because $100 worth of oxygen in a B tank will last you a really long time.
Forever. Yeah. So that's, if you want to have a high pressure tank of gas in your studio, that's probably the lowest cost, best way to go. And then of course there's the used oxygen concentrators that so many folks use.
Right.
So
That's what I have.
those are the options in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, the other piece of this is that if your homeowner's insurance or your renter's insurance won't cover a larger compressed gas tank, because these size tanks are rated, you can have these indoors, right? This is basically a creme brulee torch. And so your renter's insurance or your homeowner's insurance won't be voided by the presence of one of these or the presence of one of these. But a big B tank, different story.
Yeah.
So I have an oxygen concentrator
Yeah.
as a result, because that when it's off, it's not generating anything and there are no compressed gases.
Right.
So it's not an insurance risk.
Right. So the other solution that I've got here is even a smaller tank. I think it's an A tank, but it's a smaller tank and with a regulator on it, so I can regulate the oxygen. And I go through maybe it's almost 1-to-1 now, where it was
Really?
like you said, it was like almost 30, because this holds what would be equivalent to about 30 cans of oxygen. So
Okay.
oxygen.
Okay.
And then what do you have for your fuel?
I'm using propane for the Smith Little torch.
But you're using this,
A disposable. Yeah, I'm using a disposable.
okay,
on
because
my-
you have the Smith Little torch, so you're coming up, you're going to be doing a class on the Smith Little torch. I'm going to be doing a class on the Orca torch.
Right.
I have a Smith Little. I never was using it because of this issue, because it's like, even as I said, I thought it was 9 or 10 of these, not 15 or 30.
Yeah.
But even at that, I mean, I was like, back when it was $10 a bottle.
Yeah, it used to be 10. When I did the test, it was 10 Canadian dollars.
Right. And now it's 15 US.
Yeah.
So I've never used the torch. I rarely used the torch because I was like, I can't afford this. This
Yeah.
is great.
Right.
And I mostly needed, mostly what I was doing, I could do with the Orca torch. And the fuel on an Orca torch lasts a really long time
Yeah.
on one of these bottles.
True.
I do like the little torch I found that making granules, the Orca torch is just too much fuel is blowing out, even with the pinpoint tip. And
Yes.
so the little torch with a small tip and turn it down is really nice for making granules because it's just a much smaller flame. There's less gas coming out. It's not blowing the granule off.
Granules roll away.
Roll-
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
It's not igniting my charcoal block as badly,
Yeah.
right? The Orca torch would also light the charcoal up.
Yeah.
So I'm using up less charcoal and I'm using up less fuel by switching to the little torch for that. So, again,
Using going back to the single fuel style torch, you've got either something like the Orca torch, you've got just a regular torch that you can connect to the propane bottle.
like a plumber's torch. Yes.
I grew up
Mhm.
with, acetylene air, using something like a Prestolite torch, which has
Mhm.
been great. And that does just about everything as
As
well.
well. Yeah.
It's a dirtier flame than propane, but that's how I was raised, on acetylene.
Well, and when I took my first jewelry class at the Pratt, that's what the Pratt has, is acetylene air torches. So I learned on an acetylene air torch, and then I went up to North Seattle, North Seattle College, which has natural gas oxygen.
Hmm.
And so then that was a switch because those are really hot, those Hope
Yeah.
torches.
So-
But yes, acetylene, the other problem with acetylene, besides just the fact that some people maintain it's a dirtier fuel, it depends on who you're talking to. But you still are going to end up with a much larger compressed gas tank in your space. And so you're back to the issue of an insurance risk, right?
Well, the nice thing about, no, actually, with the B-tank acetylene, because it's not technically a compressed gas, it is it's a dissolved, like acetone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it
Acetone.
wouldn't
It's a liquid.
okay. So then it would be okay or would you need to check with your insurer?
You might want to check with your insurer, but
I would check with my insurer.
according to the fire department and checking with them, because it is flammable, but it is not explosive. Propane
Okay.
is flammable and explosive, and oxygen is an accelerant and explosive, but not flammable. So you've got, 3 different kinds of materials that you're working with there.
Right.
But tell us a little bit more about what the oxygen concentrator is and does, and the cost affordability versus what you were looking at with your test that you ran.
So I don't have an oxygen concentrator. Just saying.
Julia
Uh,
does.
But what it does is it takes oxygen out of the air, right? Air is 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen.
Mostly nitrogen, yes.
Yeah, give or take.
With a scotch of argon. And
Okay, and a few other bad things too. And so these concentrators, they're made for the medical industry, primarily for people who need to breathe oxygen and need to take something home. So they're made for home use. And I guess they expire after a certain period of time.
Right.
And there's folks that buy up the expired ones and recondition them and sell them for use for jewelers and glass blowers. And I mean, I've used one and it's great. And I mean, it's pretty much free to run. And the used ones I've seen are, let's say $500 or less. They're in that range.
Hmm.
So they're sort of the amount of oxygen you need to burn 1 can of propane, you can buy a concentrator.
Right.
So Julia,
Yeah.
you've got an oxygen concentrator over there.
I do, and we actually have a video on Tooltip 2, or that's a playing with fire video because you helped me hook it up at one point, and I found that the little torch, the 1/4 inch little torch connectors, just screwed right onto the sucker,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
boom, it
Nice.
was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that, Helen?
I said, oh, nice. Yay.
I know. I was thinking I was going to have to get some adapters and
Yeah,
whatnot because
yeah.
some of them have different connectors.
Mhm.
So there are some videos out there on how to adapt them. Rio used to carry reconditioned ones, and I don't
Oh.
think they do anymore. But you can
Yeah.
sometimes find them through if you're looking for in local refurbished equipment,
Yeah.
or find some glass people. They're going to know.
I know that-
I believe that from a medical perspective, you're only allowed to have them have like 1,000 hours of use for
Okay.
providing oxygen to a human being,
Okay.
and that after that, even if they're functioning correctly, they're like, no, we don't want to run the risk that
Okay.
it's going to break down after those 1,000 hours. So we're just going to move it into, we're going to remove it from its medical capacity.
Right.
But that means that a lot of these pieces of equipment are perfectly fine, perfectly functional. Reconditioning might be just cleaning some filters,
Yeah. Is there
literally.
some place where you can point it out? Can you, so people know? 'Cause
Oh, to see what it looks like? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
'cause it's
Yeah.
like,
Hold
it's
on.
like a little like rolling cabinet, basically.
It's a little R2 unit.
It is.
Little R2 unit, yes.
No.
Pulled it out before.
But it doesn't talk to you or anything. No,
No.
that's too bad. Maybe that's the $1,000 model.
Here, my cables are.
Not the machine that goes ping.
It's like the size of a little like rolling file cabinet
Here
almost.
it comes.
Yeah, it's plugged in is the problem. So
Yeah.
if the cord is long enough. Can you see it?
Yeah. And that's
Yes.
about the size of like a portable air conditioner, you know?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't need to bring it out any further. We can see it.
Good.
Oh,
right?
good. Because I don't think I can because it's plugged in.
And they're fairly quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
on the model. This one isn't too bad. But you can see it's hooked up to my, propane, my disposable propane, and here's the torch. And they even have a handle. Most of them have a handle. This one's fairly heavy. It can be lifted. But yeah, I've been super happy with it. I did exactly nothing to it. I have never cleaned a filter, nothing. I just turned it on and hooked it up and was like, oh, it's working. I should probably clean the filters at some point, but I
Well,
did download the user manual for it somewhere. I have so that I can, figure out how to clean the filters, but I've never gotten around to it.
the
Yeah, that's fun.
popularity of
That's fun.
those, I think, took off, especially after 9/11, because you had on the island of Manhattan, they rezoned the jewelry district so that, or the area that is the jewelry district and where the Twin Towers were, that anyone that was working in metals and jewelry couldn't have compressed bottled gases
Ah,
in
okay.
studios. And so a lot of people went to oxygen concentrators like this and natural fuel concentrators
Like the water torch?
like the water torch, for example, which doesn't have any contained gases, or there's another another company that makes a natural gas concentrator that allows you to a Gentech machine that actually concentrates the fuel coming in. So if you've got natural gas at it's usually less than 3 pounds coming into your house or into your system.
Right. Okay. So it's coming through
Yes.
it's part of the citywide system of
Yes.
natural gas.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay.
So
But
it
then
actually increases the gas pressure there so that it can give you enough gas that you can do, or gas pressure that you can do things like casting. So
okay, that makes sense.
So when you eliminate the tanks and you go with something like that, you're investing a little bit more upfront for that tech, but you're saving a huge ton of money in
Yeah.
the long run, right? Right, Milt? Is that
Yes,
that's what it
absolutely.
boils down to, right?
Well, I would also tell my students, I mean, because students, people would be like, well, I'm just going to do the thing, right? I'm just going to have the barbecue tank inside. And it's like with the propane, since propane is heavier than air, I think that's a big reason why they limit the size of the tank you can have inside because
Yeah.
it's heavier than air. So if you're working upstairs and you have a furnace in the basement and you have a leak in your propane line and you have enough of a tank of propane, a big enough tank, it'll flow down the stairs and fill up the basement until it hits the pilot light for the furnace and then it blows up the house. I mean,
Whee!
we actually had a gas leak blow up multiple buildings here in Seattle. We were super lucky that nobody was killed. This was one of our favorite sandwich places, Mr. Heroes over in Greenwood. Um,
Yeah,
it happened early in the morning that the
yeah,
explosion happened. So propane can
yeah.
be a real problem. Acetylene is lighter than air.
Well, they
And
had
so
a gas leak is what that was though.
they had a gas leak.
That wasn't
Yes.
really propane bottles, but
No, 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 no. They had a gas leak, but it also settled into the spaces. And then because it concentrates, because it's
right,
settling, it's filling up, there's much more of it.
right.
Whereas acetylene, because it's lighter than air, it's dispersing more readily into the general atmosphere is the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Milt, thanks for visiting us. Did you have anything that you wanted to promote? Anything coming up? What's going on in your life besides grandchildren?
I don't have a lot of workshops coming up right now. I do have a local one in Calgary where I live. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, and there's a spot or two available on that. So if you want to travel to Calgary and learn some filigree, this is a good time. But I do online workshops throughout the year, and I just don't have next year scheduled, and I have the end of this year kind of empty.
Fantastic.
We'll put a link to his
Yes.
Sure,
website in the
great,
description
great.
of the video.
And
So
we
you can
can-
go check if
Yeah.
you're watching this and his class is long since passed, you can go check and see what else he's offering.
So
And
where can we
goes
check for that.
watch my YouTube and
Well-
see the details on these things
Put a link to that as well. Yeah.
so that you believe me when you don't have to believe it, you need to see it to believe it. And
Absolutely.
that's why I recorded it.
What's your website so people can go to it?
My website is mfmetalarts.com.
And
My
then
YouTube is MF Metal Arts. My Instagram is MF Metal Arts. So
okay. All right.
that's what they all are. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon and have a wonderful time with those grandchildren of yours.
Thank you. Really nice to be here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right. Bye, everybody.